Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations, and I'm here today to share with you a design team project that I created. And we're going to go through a walkthrough and then we'll go into a tutorial and I'll show you how to make it. So this prototype that I made was using Plaid Pumpkin Patch. This is a really awesome collection from Country Craft Creations. You can get this at countrycraftcreations.com, and I just love the colors and the patterns in this fall autumn collection. It's just really beautiful. There's lots of plaid. The colors are kind of muted with the oranges and the greens, and it's just really pretty. So it turned out to be a really cool project. I'm going to go through the walkthrough and I'll show you how I use the papers from this collection. And then for the tutorial, I'm going to be using Santa's Little Helper. Now, this is also from Country Craft Creations, and it's a really fun Christmas themed. I had the 8x8 package on this, and you can see that I used some of the actual pieces from the cover page to do the album with. But this is a really cute paper collection, so we're going to do the tutorial with that. So let's go through the album here real quick and I'll show you what I did with it, and then we'll go ahead and make one. So again, this is Plaid Pumpkin Patch, available from Country Craft Creations, and on the cover here I used some lace trim and some flowers, and then these kind of they're almost like felt fabric-y leaves here. So the trim is Country Craft Creations, the flowers and the leaves are Prima, and then on the cover you can see I kind of fussy cut out some berries, and I used some Nouveau drops. Where did I put that bottle? Nouveau crystal glaze on those so I could add a little dimension to that. And then from the paper collection, I like fussy cut some leaves, and I kind of tucked those under the flowers here so you can see that. And then there was a piece in the collection that had a wreath shape to it and had the word fall in there, and the wreath shape was too big for what I wanted because I didn't really want to cover up my pumpkin. So I cut the letters out from one of those leaves. I used the Nouveau crystal glaze on there to give it some dimension, and then backed them on some cardstock, and then that's just my simple title for this album. I just love it. And it's a seam binding closure. I did use two different kinds of seam binding, I believe. Let's see, chocolate, and I used the olive, and what was the other color that I used? I think I have that in my notes. Oh, and I used fig and ivory. So I used several different colors in this. I just thought it complemented the papers really well. So the album itself is 8 inches by 6 inches, and then has a 2.5-inch spine. And on the spine, I took a piece from the, 2 pieces actually, from the cut apart sheet, and just made this little piece to kind of decorate the spine. I just thought it was really pretty. I did use some accent colors. I did use some pearl sheen in the gold, and that is an artisan cardstock as well. The base of this album I used olive, and that's the artisan cardstock. And then the back I kept simple. Now this is one of those wreaths that I was telling you about. I fussy cut the letters out of it for the front, and then I just put the whole one here on the back, and I fussy cut around it and inked it. I did use vintage photo ink on all my papers, and I did that for the upcoming tutorial. All right, so on this particular one, I did a double seam binding closure on each side, so you had some color and then kind of a fluffy bow when you untie it. And then it opens up like this, and on the front I made a pretty simple double pocket. And in this pocket I used tags from the paper collection and cut them out. I inked the edges, left the backs blank. I did add photo reinforcements that I created from just some scraps of the olive cardstock, and then just tied the ribbon seam binding, in the holes. And then so you have the pocket here, and then you have another pocket here. Now I did trim the tags for the first pocket down just a little bit, about 1/2 inch, so that they would sit a little lower than the other ones at the top. And then I just did the same thing with these. I just didn't trim these, and these just tuck in the top here, and then I put these down here. So you have kind of a basket full of tags, I guess, if you will. So just left this pretty simple. On the inside spine, I used one of the cut-aparts, and then one of the cut-aparts was a horizontal banner that said, "I love fall most of all," but I wanted to use it vertically, so I just cut the letters or the words up and backed them on cardstock, and then I used them up and down like I had wanted to. On the front of this, now this looks like a box, and it is, and let me show you how this works. It's really kind of a cool idea, and this is why I'm calling it a photo box project. So it is part album and it is part photo box. So the album closes with these two seam binding pieces here, but this part closes with this one here. So I do have that. It opens up. On the front here, I loved this paper, and I didn't really want to cover it up with a pocket or anything like that. So I fussy cut out some pieces and then put them on top so I can kind of keep the continuity of the paper. If you can see right behind there, I put that right over the top so I could kind of keep it. I added some flowers, those Prima flowers that I did get from Country Craft Creations. I added this fussy cutout pumpkin, and then I adhered them so that they were a pocket, and then I could put two more of the tags behind there like that. So I thought that was kind of a pretty presentation for the front of this. And then when this opens, so it opens to the side, and then what you have is a photo opportunity, and I left it so that you could tuck a photo underneath it. This little acorn was in the package of Prima leaves that I did get from Country Craft Creations, and I just thought that was a really pretty accent to put on the corner there. Fussy cut out some leaves here, and then some of the circles from the paper collection, and then the autumn breeze stirs the leaves. That was part of the cut apart. So this is again the pearl sheen gold. I am totally loving the pearl sheen artisan cardstock that is in the shop. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And it really kind of makes things pop, and it looks really festive. So I've been using it a lot lately. I just love it. So nice photo mat here. And then you have this page. Now I left this pretty simple. You could put a small picture here if you wanted to. But I loved this piece of the paper there, so I didn't really want to cover it up. When you open it up, again, you have another photo opportunity. And again, cut aparts and from the collection, and then I fussy cut out that gourd. And then here it says it's sweater weather, and I put that on the spine. I just thought it was kind of pretty. And then it opens up after you get past this page, and again, I didn't want to cover this up at all. I just thought it was so pretty. You have another photo opportunity. So, excuse me, I'm dropping everything. So another photo mat, more of the fussy cutting here and cut aparts here. Pumpkin spice tastes so nice. Just thought it was really cool. And then you get to the box. Now this box is a box that I have played with before and done, and it's made totally out of cardstock, but it has a nice edge to it. Now the other ones that I've done in the past have had like a 1/2 inch wide edge. This one will have a 1/4 inch wide edge because I wanted to make it so that you could put a lot of photos in it. Now the inside dimension, I never grabbed my ruler the right way the first time, is 7 by 5. Okay, so you can put probably anything up to a 4 7/8 by 6 7/8 photo in there. But then if you do something that big that kind of really goes to the edges, how do you get them out in a good manner? So I kind of designed this little lift piece here that I will show you how to do. And basically what you do is you put all of your photos and stuff in here just like this, and then when you're ready to get them out, you just simply pull it up, and then you can pick your photos out. So that's the inside of the box. It is, how deep is it? It is about 1.5 inches deep. And I used one of the cut aparts. I backed it on two of the cut aparts. I backed it on cardstock. I loved these little banner pieces. You could put a small picture on here. You could do journaling. And then I used just some of my leftover papers that I had from making the collection and just backed them on leftover cardstock. So basically you have lots of photo opportunities, and it worked out really good. So this photo box is really fun because it is kind of part album, but it is also part photo box. So if you don't want, if you have just a few pictures that you really want to showcase, but then you have like a stack of the rest of them to put in here, that's what my intention was. So you go on vacation, you pick out 3 or 4 of your very favorite, you know, pictures, you put them on the pages, and then you can plop the rest of them in here. Put your little, you know, make your little tab here. Put your pictures in there, and then when you're ready to look at them, you just pick this up, pick them out, and then you're ready to go. So that was kind of my intention on this. And then when you close it up, this is what keeps everything all together, so those loose photos in your box don't come out. So there's my vision for this album. Let's go ahead and put this to the side, and then we'll make one. So I did start making the cover, and the cover I'm using the lay flat method that I've done tutorials on before, and so I went ahead and made it. I will put a link down below if you're not familiar with that method, but I am going to give you all of the instructions for that. So for the album cover, you'll need 2 pieces of heavyweight chipboard that are 6 by 8 and 1 piece that's 2.5 by 6. That will be the spine. And then the cardstock that you will need to cover all of these pieces that are 2 of the 8 by 10s, which will cover the front and the back, 1 that's 5.5 by 8, which will cover the spine, and then 1 that's 5.5 by 5 and 7/8, and that's going to cover the inside spine. So once you make your cover, then you will need to add your seam binding closures. Now on this one I chose to just do a single seam binding. On the other one I had 2 coming out the same side. So you do have your seam bindings for closures here. And then on the inside, you will need to add your seam binding to close the box that goes on top of here. Okay, so then, you know, I covered the spine with the 5.5 by 5 7/8 piece of cardstock, and then I covered the inside spine with my my pattern paper. Okay, so at this point, once you make your cover, you know, pick your pattern papers, put it over top of your closure if you choose to do that. On the spine, I left this, I used a piece of the pattern paper, and then I did use some pearl sheen gold to mat it, so it kind of made the spine pop a little bit. And then on the back, I used this. Now this is, again, is Santa's Little Helper, and this is a really cute Christmas kind of baking, cooking themed paper. It's Christmassy. It doesn't necessarily have to be baking themed if you don't want to, but it also has those cute little puppy dogs that are the little helpers in the baking. So it's really a cute thing. So if you're a dog lover, this is like amazing paper. So that's the cover. So I hope that all makes sense. Again, go to the description down below, and if you are unfamiliar with the lay flat method of making your album, it'll show you how to do that. So you will cut the chipboard, cut your cardstock, do the covers, and then put your seam binding on next, and then put your pattern paper on the outside, and then you can put your pattern paper on the spine. Okay, so that's where we're at this point. So the next thing we're going to do is the inner pocket, and this will go on the left side of the inside of our book. And what you're going to need are 2 pieces of cardstock. One will be 5.5 by 8. One will be 3 by 8. We're going to grab our scoreboard here, and I'm going to put that there so you can see that. So 5.5 by 8, and then a 3 by 8. And each of them you're going to put in your scoreboard, and we're going to score it on 3 sides to make pockets. So 8 at the top, and we'll score it at half, 7.5, and then turn it and score it at a half. Okay, so do both of them like that. Half, 7.5. And then score on the other side at half. Okay, so we're going to have 2 pockets. Then grab your scissors. We'll miter our corners like so. And I'm doing it pretty sharply on the bottom because I don't want a lot of bulk, which I guess doesn't so much matter because there's not much else going on that particular side. Didn't get that quite close enough. All right. So then we shall fold and burnish all of our score lines. Get that out of the way. All right. Okay. And then I already have my papers pre-cut for this. So what we're going to do first is we're going to build our pocket. So this little pocket here is going to go right on the top of this pocket here. So we're just simply going to grab our glue and glue it down. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm just gonna line that up. It should match perfectly with your other pocket. Just lay it right on the top. Let me grab my little gauzy pad. Oops. Make sure that sticks down really well. Okay. There we go. And then I have my papers cut. So this paper here is 6 7/8 by 4 7/8. And I'm just going to slide that into the pocket on the front and make sure that it covers up all of my tabs. And get it in there. There we go. And then I'm going to just glue that down. I'm going to line that up and I'm going to just hold it with my hand and then glue it down. Okay. I've had a lot of people ask me what I'm using to wipe my glue with. And I'm using gauze pads. They are lint free and I don't have to dry them like if you're using baby wipes, which I have used in the past and they work really good, but you have to dry them. These I don't have to dry, so it's kind of cool. So then I have my next piece of paper here. So this is, I believe it's 2 3/8. Oh, I never grab my ruler right. 2 3/8. Okay. By 7 7/8. Okay? Or excuse me. Dang. By 6 7/8. My goodness. I'm having issues today. All right. So, official cookie tester or taster. All these doggies I thought was a cute print. So I'm just going to put that on the front. And I don't usually put all the pattern papers on, but I had them cut out and ready to go. We won't go through the decorations in this video, but I will, finish it off camera and then I'll show you some pictures. All right, so we have our pocket covered with our pattern paper, so we just need to add it to the book. Now, we do have to put the pattern paper on first, because if we don't, see the pocket, I did it so that it would show some pattern paper around it. So we have to put the pattern paper on first. And again, I did ink all the edges of these papers because the papers are so dark as far as the cardstock that I'm using. And so if I was using a lighter cardstock like, white or natural or something, I probably wouldn't ink because I don't want the ink to get on those papers. So now our covers are 6 by 8. So I cut my pattern paper 1/8 inch smaller. So they're 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay. All right. All right. And then we're going to put our pocket down. Now, because I want to make sure that this tab doesn't mess with my tags. When we glue this down, I'm only going to glue it from at the bottom first, and then we're going to open it up. We're going to do the tape trick so that when you put your tags in, it does help. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down a little bit lower, I think, than I did with my first book, just so that I have a little more room at the top for my tags to go in and out up here. So I'm going to put it down, and I eyeballed it, but it's about 1/4 of an inch down. Okay. And then I'm going to open this up and grab my tape. And then this is just going to help make it so that the edge is a little more, you know, slick, and that when you put your tags in, it slides over that cardstock easier. Okay, so we have our pocket like that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take my glue. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm coughing. Well, probably because I haven't talked all morning. That's probably it. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue the rest of my pocket down. Okay. All right. Wipe up any excess glue. And then the front part is done, except for decoration and making your tags. Okay. So it's just a simple double pocket that goes here. And that is the end of that. So, there you have it. Okay, so great place to put some pictures, to put your tags, to put, you know, some journaling in, anything like that. And then, I don't know why that's raised. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there because I don't like that. All right, okay. Now let's work on the back here. Let me grab some pieces. I'll be right back. For the base and the box cover, and the box cover, when I'm talking about that, those are the panels, the scrapbook panels, or page panels, I guess you could say, that go over the box. So you will need 4 pieces of paper. For the base, you will need a piece that's 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. The piece called A is 5 7/8 by 10 3/8. B is 7 7/8 by 8 1/4. And C is 7 7/8 by 8 1/8. Now, when I'm talking about the ABC, I just kind of went like in order of how they're going to appear. So when, let me show you in this book. So when I'm talking about A, B, and C, so this first one is A, and it goes off to the side. Okay. B is this next piece that goes up to the top, and C is the bottom piece that comes down to the bottom. Okay, so just so you can get your bearings on that. That's how I decided to label them. It kind of made sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you. So the first thing we'll do, we'll stick our cover to the side here, cut your pieces. The base piece, we're not going to do anything to. We're going to just leave it as is. And this is the piece that will actually cover the back of our book here, okay? These pieces will attach to this. So I'm going to go ahead and put the base piece on. There is no scoring involved, all right? Just simply add your glue and making sure that our seam binding is flat. And I'm going to just adhere that down, okay? All right, so basically what we've done is we just covered our book. We're going to use this base to help us align everything else in a minute. So let me get a pencil. So A is going to go here, B is going to go here, and C is going to go here, okay? I hope you can see that. All right, so let's get this out of the way for just a second, then we need to do some scoring, okay? So we're going to grab our scoreboard, and for piece A, we're going to put it in our scoreboard with the 10 3/8 at the top. We're going to score at 1/2 and at 2 1/2. All right, and put that aside. Piece B, with the 8 1/4 inch at the top, we're going to score at 1/2 and at 2 3/8. Put that to the side. And then piece C, 8 1/8 at the top of your scoreboard. Score it at 1/2 and at 2 1/4. All right. So then get rid of your scoreboard, and we're going to miter our little 1/2 inch tabs on all of them. And they are different sizes because I did add a little bit of wiggle room in between the pages. So the spine pieces, which are the second score piece that we did, they will be a little bit different. Each one should be different. Okay, so it gives them a little bit of wiggle room just in case you want to add anything to you know, these pages on the top. So this one is 2 inch. That's A. B is 1 7/8, and C, that score should be 1 3/4. So you will have about an 1/8 inch space, give kind of wiggle room for that, just in case you want to add a little something. Okay, so then fold and burnish your scores. All right. Like so. All right. So then we'll grab our book, put these off to the side here for just a second, and making sure all of our ties are out of the way. So grab piece A, and you're going to fold that 1/2 inch tab. Okay, so it's going to end up going like this, and we're going to you know, glue it just directly to the very edge of that base piece we laid down. It's going to lay right on top of it, right at the edge. Okay. So just put glue on that 1/2 inch tab, and then I'm going to turn it just so I can see it really well. And I'm going to line that up right on the edge of that base piece of cardstock that we laid down, and make sure everything is nice and lined up and straight. Just like so. Okay, so that's piece A, and then that will go up like that. Okay, and then we're going to do the same things with B and C. So make sure you got the correct piece so that it opens up in the correct way. So I'm going to turn this around upside down. I've got my B piece here. I'm going to fold that 1/2 inch fold. And then turn around, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to lay this down right at the edge. And just make sure, the one little thing you do need to make sure is that this will be able to fold up, and it'll be at a 90-degree angle. So you don't want it to fold like completely over, okay? But don't get it like too far into the score, okay? So just like that, all right? And then we'll follow with C. Turn it around. C, we'll go do the same thing. Okay. So again, I'm just lining this up right at the edge. All right. Okay. Just like so. All right. Then the next thing we're going to do is I wanted to have a border of some sort around the base of the box because the box will kind of be inset just a little bit on this. And I didn't write that measurement down, of course. So I did cut a piece that's 7 3/4 by 5 3/4 of the pearl sheen gold that I liked for the accent color. And we're just going to line the bottom of that. And then that's what our box will sit on when we get that finished. Oops, little drippy there. Okay. So this is cut 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it should just fit right inside if I can lay it down. Just perfectly with a little bit of a border, and I can't get it down. This is because it opens up and it's kind of big, it is a little fiddly to get, you know, work with, because, you know, the little flaps kind of get in the way, but it can be done. All right, I think I got it. No, not quite. Shoot. Maybe I'll be able to do it. We'll see. Having issues. There we go. See, that's more better. Okay. All right. I think. All right. Okay. Now at this point, if you wanted to decorate your panels first, before you actually lay them on, you can. I tend to want to decorate afterwards because I like to kind of see how things are going to lay out. I have already picked out my pattern papers, so I will do that off camera so you can see it. But at this point, like when I was designing this, like I loved this paper here with the cakes and stuff. So that's going to go over here so that when you open it up, it kind of has the continuity. So that's, you can either, you know, figure it out now, or you can wait till later. It doesn't really, you know, matter as far as that goes. So we're set. So when you fold this up, C will fold up, and then B, and then A. So we have this part completely done. Now we got to work on the box that goes on the inside. Now the box that goes on the inside, I did not, use any kind of chipboard in it, because it's not very tall, because it is not very wide. It was actually pretty sturdy once you get the pattern paper on everything, so I didn't do that. If you want to, I'll show you where you can add some lightweight chipboard if you would like to make it a little bit more sturdy. But for the inner box, you will need a couple pieces. So you'll need the base of the box, that is 5 1/2 by 7 1/2. And then you'll need sides, 2 that are 4 by 8 1/2 and 2 that are 4 by 5 1/2. Okay. And then we have our pieces here to cover things with. So I got my pattern papers all ready to go. And then the other thing we're going to need is the lifter. This is an important part of this particular box. So you need one piece that's 1 by 9 1/2. Now, this is, I guess, optional if you're not going to put anything in there that goes really super close to the edge. So for this particular project, I'm actually putting recipe cards in it. So you don't necessarily have to put the lifter in, but if you want to decorate the recipe cards, if you want to use bigger recipe cards than like a 4 by 6, then it's probably a good idea. But I'm going to do it because I want to show you how to do it. Okay, so let's get started with this. So we have our base of our box, and it's 5 1/2 by 7 1/2. We don't have to score with that. So to score the sides, we're going to take the 4 by 8 1/2 piece, and I've already prepared one, so we'll do this one together. So put it in with the 4 inches at the top. Score at 1/4 of an inch, 1 7/8, 2 1/8, and 3 3/4. And then you're going to turn it to the 8 1/2 at the top, and you're going to score 1/2 inch. And this is important because the other one doesn't do this. This is going to be different. So 1/2 inch and at 8. So you will have 2 1/2 inch pieces on the sides, and then you'll have a 1/4 inch, 1 5/8, 1/4 inch, 1 5/8, 1/4 inch. Okay. Then when you score the short sides, what you're going to do, if you start at the 4 at the top, you do the same scores here. So 1/4 inch, 1 7/8, 2 1/8, 3 3/4. But then when you turn it, here's what we're going to do different. So when you turn this, what you're going to do is you're going to score down only through the first 2 score lines. So only through the first 1/4 inch and the first 1 5/8 inch. Okay, so you'll just take and go 1/4 inch down just to the 2 score through the 2, you know, sections. So don't score through the middle 1/4 inch. Don't score through this. Don't score through this. Just through the top 2. So again, you'll score at 1/4 inch down to that score line, and then you'll go at 5 1/4 and score down to that score line. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let's get this out of the way. And the beauty of this is you can rewind it too. Okay, so with your scores at the top, we're using those basically as guides to cut. So through, if you can see this, okay, so here is the 1/4 inch score that we didn't score through. What you're going to do is you're going to go from the outside corner to that score line and just cut a diagonal, and then cut up that score line and then miter the last 1/4 inch piece. Okay, so this one here, we didn't score through the middle 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to go where that score line is, and I'm just going to connect those 2 scores and just cut a diagonal right through that. Okay, and then I'll cut up the score like so, and then miter that. Okay, and cut it completely off. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. So go from the 1/4 inch to where we scored down. Okay, and cut a diagonal, and then I'm just going to turn it just because it's easier for me. We're going to miter that top, and then we're going to cut that score completely out. Okay, so didn't do that very well. Okay, so you should have a piece that looks like that, and then we're going to score, or we're going to miter, excuse me, the bottom 1/4 inch scores, just like that. Okay, so you'll have 2 pieces that look like that. Then on the long sides, we're going to do this a little bit different because we're going to need some tabs to help kind of finish the sides. So what you're going to do is, we're calling this the bottom of it. We're going to miter this, and then we're going to miter these 2 1/2 inch pieces, and then cut that 1/2 inch piece out on both sides. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll hold it. We're going to cut a miter, okay, just like that, and then we're going to miter this corner out like so. So that'll create a 1/2 inch tab that we'll use later. And then we're going to finish that miter here, cut it to the 1/2 inch score, and then we're going to cut that completely out like so. And then we're going to miter that 1/4 inch piece. Okay, so you have a piece that looks like that. I hope that makes sense. Can you see? I hope so. Okay, so let's do it with the other side. So we're going to miter the corner, the bottom corner here, and create a 1/2 inch tab. All right, like so. And then we're going to cut that score out completely. And then miter that top 1/4 inch piece. Okay, so you'll have 2 pieces that look like that. All right, this is probably like this is the most complicated part of this box, and I just like the looks of it, so that's why I didn't want to do a regular box. And I also liked the fact that the 1/4 inch tabs kind of gave a really nice kind of structure to the box for the, and also some, you know, support and structure for, you know, the pages that come around it. All right, so now we're going to fold and burnish all of our score lines. All right, so I'm going to do that off camera because I have 4 pieces to do and it's a little fiddly, and then I'll be back. Just be careful with your 1/4 inch tabs here. All right, and do that pretty gently because, you know, they are 1/4 inch and it's a little bit harder to do than 1/2 inch. All right, I'll be right back. All right, so I have finished doing all the scoring of my pieces, okay, and then I'm just going to lay them out because we're going to attach them to this. Now, I'm going to just grab my glue, and you want to attach on the side here the wider piece, so we have a piece that's wider. That is going to go right to the base, okay? So we're going to take this piece, put a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to go ahead and attach it right to the edge of that chipboard, of that cardstock base, okay? So right at the edge, okay? Okay, just like so, okay? All right, so we're going to go around and just do the same thing. So we'll have all 4 sides attached. And I'm just lining that up right at the edge. And it is, like I said, it is a little bit fiddly because of the 1/4 inch attachments. But the other reason I did that, you know, well, to attach it, because it helps with a guide as well for when we finish it. So, you know, I'll show you that in just a second. But anyway, so I'm just going around, and there's no, you know, particular order. It doesn't matter as long as everything is at the edge. Okay. All right. And last but not least, this piece right here. And that should line up just perfectly right there. Okay. Now, if you've noticed, well, if you've not noticed, but if you've seen the other videos that I have done, I've done boxes and I've done some ornaments using this technique. So this will fold down and the sides will fold over, and that's going to create our box, okay? But the next thing we need to do is we need to put the bottom down, because it's going to be a lot easier to do that with the lifter piece that I'm going to do. So we're going to do that next. When you put your sides down, it's going to take up 1/4 inch on every single side. So as I told you in the beginning, the inside dimensions of this is 5 by 7. So you're going to want a pattern paper, you know, that's going to fit in here. Now, I cut this pattern paper at 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. And what that should do is go right in the center, and you can use the tabs from the sides as the guide, and that's going to give you the perfect border around there. So when you put your sides up, you know, you'll have your border of cardstock around the sides, okay? When you glue the sides down, they're going to glue directly over those tabs, so those tabs won't show at all. And you'll just have this nice pretty border with your paper. But before you do that, before you lay that down, what you need to do is make our lifter, because that's going to attach to that paper. So the lifter is 1 by 9.5, and I've actually already got my pieces cut for that. So you're going to put it in your scoreboard, 9.5 at the top. We're going to score at 1/2. 1/2, and 5 3/8. And at 7. Okay, then we're going to fold it and burnish it. So it's going to just kind of create like a C shape, like so. And then it's also easier if we go ahead and put pattern paper on it now. So I do have that picked. Now, this is going to go, oops, I actually have to do the tab the other direction. Okay, so you're going to want it to look like this. Okay, so it's going to hook to the bottom of our paper like this. And then this is going to be the lifting mechanism. Okay, super simple, super simple. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and glue it down. You don't really need to miter that at all, and we're going to put it right in the middle here. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to grab my centering ruler just to kind of make sure that I get it as centered as I possibly can. That looks just about perfect. And then I'm just going to lay that down on the back. Okay. So it's at the bottom of the paper you choose for the bottom. Okay. And we're just going to lay that down, and then that's going to be our lifter piece. Okay. So then I grabbed, let's see, you're going to need some pattern papers to cover these pieces. So you'll need 2 pieces, 1 for each side. Okay. So you will need, excuse me, 2 pieces that are 4 3/4 by 7/8. Then you'll need 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 7/8, and then 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 7/8. So I'm going to glue these down real quick, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to put the little piece on. Okay, put the pattern paper on the lifter, so just on both sides. And then we're going to take, I took 2 squares. You can use any kind of like embellishment that you want, any kind of cut apart. They have these cute little squares of the puppy dogs with the Santa's Little Helper and an official cookie taster. So I'm going to use 1 of each of those. And then I did cut a little piece of pearl sheen gold cardstock to accent it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply glue that right to there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and center it as much as I can, so that when it sits on top of the pile of stuff you're going to put in the box, then it's going to, you know, kind of be centered. So I'm eyeballing it really, because it does kind of depend, but it looks like that's, you know, roughly about in the center there. And art glitter glue does let you kind of fool with it a little bit before it dries. And then I'm going to turn it over, and then this guy will just go on the back over the top of that, and then it'll be decorated on both sides. Like so. And that will be, whoops, should put it the other way, because when you lift it up, that's what you're going to see. Okay, so okay, so you'll have your lifter. And when you lift it up, boom, you're going to have your pictures out. So grab your box, and then this will fit right in the inside of our box, nice and pretty. And then the floor will be done, and it'll be just easier to put this all down now. Of course, obviously, with the lifter, you have to do it before you put the paper down. No, you know, I mean, it's not like the end of the world if you don't use it. Okay, so I'm just going to lay that down, and I'm using, there's about 1/8 of an inch space in between all of my 1/4 inch tabs. I'm just trying to center that as best I possibly can. There we go, like that. Okay, put that down. Okay, so the bottom of our box is done. Now, the other thing too, now if you want to put lightweight chipboard on the inside pieces, now is the time to do it. These are all going to get covered up, so you can just take the chipboard, you know, measure these and then cut them 1/8 of an inch smaller. So for example, if we were to cover this panel here, this is 1 5/8 by what is it? I can't read it. 5. So 1 5/8 by 5. So I would cut the chipboard at 1 1/2 by 4 7/8. So it'll fit right inside. And then cover that. Just put the chipboard down. Lightweight chipboard. You don't need heavyweight chipboard. And you don't need to do anything with the 1/2 inch, or the 1/4 inch pieces. You can just do the bigger panels if you want. I didn't do that. I didn't think it was necessary. And after you put the pattern paper on the other side, it's going to be pretty sturdy. You'll be pretty surprised. Okay, so then let's flip it over and talk about this. So we're going to fold up our box, and we're going to need to put our panels on so that, you know, they're covered, so the sides are covered. Now you can do this now, or you can do it later if you want to do it later. I'm choosing to do it now. So let me find my papers and I will be right back. So I put my pattern papers on the outside of these pieces that we put on. Okay, so they'll fold down like this. Now just remember when you do that, when you put your pattern papers on, when you fold your box up, you're going to want to make sure that the direction of the paper is correct. So when you fold your box, then everything is going to line up the right way. So you have your paper in the right direction. If you're using non-directional paper, it doesn't really matter. But if you're doing directional, then yes, it does definitely matter. Okay, so what we need to do now, we have all these little 1/2 inch tabs here that we need to use to attach to the inside of our box. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here. And this is just going to close those corners nicely. So I'm just going to just glue those down. Okay, and again, this gets a little fiddly because you have the rest of the pieces kind of in the way. But art glitter glue does set up fairly quickly, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. All right, so we're just going to go around and do that. I originally didn't do this on my prototype, and when I started to put it together, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work so awful good. So I ended up adding them after the fact. It's a lot easier to do them now than it is to try and add them later. So that's why I kind of incorporated the tabs in the cutting. And then it just kind of really closes that box off, okay? Okay. All right. And last piece here. Add my glue. Okay. So I think it's easier to put the pattern paper on before, you know, you build the box. I think it just kind of makes sense, but you can do it afterwards if you want to. Doesn't matter. All right, so now we've got like the sides built. Okay, your box should look like this. Now what we're going to do is fold in the long sides first. So they're going to, this a 1/4" tab is going to tuck, and it's going to lay flat on the bottom, okay? And it's going to go right over that 1/4" tab that, you know, attached that piece to the box, okay? So again, this is a little fiddly, but I'm telling you what, the result is totally worth it. So then I'm just going to tuck that under there and lay that down, okay? And it'll lay nice and flat, and it will lay down right on that tab that you created to attach, okay? And then just push it down gently, and it will catch. Trust me on this one. This will work. All right, so then second one. So I'm not folding the tab really tight like this. I want it actually to be more at a right angle, because then that way when you fold it under, it will grab easily and lay where you want it to, okay? I'm just going to tease that under there. Make sure that our little lifter isn't in the way. All right, like that. Okay, again, a little bit fiddly, totally worth it. And just make sure that it's down there, okay? Perfect. That's perfect. And it does grab really fast. The art glitter glue grabs fast. So the corners here, we did that miter here. What that's going to do is that's going to fold over the edge and give you kind of a nice little mitered look. So when we glue this one down, we're not only going to put glue here, but we're also going to put a little dot on the corners of this, and then that's going to help hold that down. So we're going to put the glue here. Whoops. There we go. And then put a little dot here and a little dot here. And then we're going to fold that in and glue it down. And then we're going to kind of press those corners down at the same time and let the art glitter glue catch those corners. And we're just going to help hold it just for a second. You see how pretty that is? And you could totally, there is going to be a little bit of room in between the top of this box. There's like 1/8 of an inch of room between the top of this box and the page that's going to go directly over it. So if you wanted to put, you know, some bling around here or some lace or something like that, you could totally do that as well. I think it would be too fiddly to put 1/8 of an inch piece of paper across there. That would drive me nuts, but maybe some bling would be cute. Yep. All right, so last piece, and a little dab of glue in those corners. Okay, I'm just going to hold that. All right, so then our box is done. Our lifter is good to go. When you lift it up, you're going to have that beautiful picture underneath. Okay, that will fold right over your picture, just like, or your, you know, pictures, whatever you're going to put in the box, like that. So then you just grab your book here. We'll open it all back up. And then this guy just glues right down to the middle of that piece. So there's roughly about a little more than 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Okay, so you can eyeball that. And then the next thing is just decorating, and then you're all done. So let's just glue this down. And I didn't go too close to the edge. I didn't want it to seep out too much to the edge of the box here. It will spread. Okay, and then I'm just gonna eyeball this. And remember, art glitter glue does let you fiddle with it a little bit before it sets. So that's good. And that looks pretty good. So then I'm gonna just push that down from the inside. Hold my little lifter out of the way. And this little tool here, I got the idea because Tammy from Country Craft Creations had a similar tool that someone had made her, and I didn't have all of the, you know, the right supplies, but what I did have was some dowels, and I put 4 of them together, and I put some fabric tape around it just to kind of hold them all in a square, and then I used a furniture pad for legs on it, and then you can just go in spaces that are hard to reach and press things down. Okay, so there's our photo box, and again, I'll decorate it and then I'll come back and I'll talk about what I did after I do that. But then once you get this box in, then these are all photo pages, and they just fold up C, B, and then the A piece, and then it ties like so around here, and that's what keeps all of that contained. And then this part here folds up, and then it ties on the side like so. Okay, and then it's a nice project. You have kind of a combination of, you know, pockets. You could do journaling and stuff. You have photo mats, and you have a photo box. And there's lots of room for embellishment and things like that. So this is, that's my project. So this is my photo box project. And again, I did do the prototype with Bountiful Blessings. And this one here is Santa's Little Helper. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I will be back, and I'll go a walkthrough with Santa's Little Helper. All right, y'all, I'm back. I have decorated the tutorial album that I made. So this again is my prototype that I used Plaid Pumpkin Patch from Country Craft Creations. So I already showed you that at the beginning of the video. Now let me show you what I did with Santa's Little Helper with this project. This is such a cool little project. So instead of kind of being like a photo box, which it actually is still because you can put photos in here, I also made it, because it has a cooking theme, a baking theme, I made it as a recipe box too. So let me show you what I did. This cover, I just think turned out pretty stunning. So I used lace trim, again, just like I did on the previous album. I did some more of it inside, and I'll show you that. But this is from Country Craft Creations. It's what I got in one of my latest orders, and it is absolutely stunning lace. So please go run and get some. It's really awesome. I added flowers. These red and green ones are by Graphic 45, and I did get those at Country Craft Creations as well. The bling is from my stash, and this little wooden spoon is from my stash. I found it, I think, at Hobby Lobby. I cannot remember, but they were little teeny tiny wooden spoons, and I picked them up because I thought I'm going to use them for something, and guess what? Boom, this is what I used it for. So I just thought that was kind of cute. I did use a wooden spoon on one of my projects for a Craftology box using Country Craft Creations What's Cooking collection, and then I just thought, well, I'm going to mimic that because it's just with the wooden spoons here, I mean, how could I not, right? So I used a little bit of olive seam binding to tie around there, and I just gathered the flowers around it, put the bling on there. This is one of the tags from the collection, and put a little seam binding through there. I did put an eyelet through there, so there is a little extra, you know, dimension to that, but I just think the cover turned out really sweet. I left the spine plain. I just really liked the look of it, and I decided that I just wanted to keep it plain. And I left this plain too because I didn't really want to cover that up either. So I did that. This is what it looks like from the top. So as you're looking at it straight on, you know, it's the direction of this is correct. When it's like this, it's not going to be correct so much, but that's, you know, okay, because nobody's going to probably notice that anyway. But as it's sitting on a shelf, it's going to be like this. Now look how pretty it is from the top. I just think it's gorgeous. So it ties with a simple seam binding closure on the side. And then we'll open that up. And you will get this. Now here are the side pockets that we made for the inside cover. And inside on the top pocket, I had some graphic 45 square tags, and the cut aparts in this collection, the 8x8 collection, these were 4x4 and they were absolutely perfect. So I used the 2 of those and put them on there, and then I used another piece of paper and put it on the back of this. I left them plain so you could put photos on there. You could journal on the back of them, whatever you wanted to do. And then these just slip in the top right there. And then the collection has these little rectangular tags. So I just cut a few of those out, backed them on cardstock, put some seam binding through them, and then I tucked them in this front pocket. I did use a little bit of lace on there, but I didn't really want to cover up the doggies too much, which I kind of did up here, but these doggies aren't covered up, so that's good. This was one of the little 2x2 cut aparts from the pack, and then this is a little chunk from the cover of the album, or cover of the paper that I cut out and made a little banner out of and just added that, and I thought that was kind of cute. So the front of our box assembly closed looks like this. I did put some lace up here at the top. I added a few more flowers, and I added some bling here. And there's plenty of space to put a picture this way or this way, portrait or landscape here. So you could totally do that. And I just left it because I wanted to have some photo opportunity here. And then when you open it up, you have the inside of that piece. This was A when we were making it, and I put a simple photo mat, and then I put another tag, left it so you could tuck a picture underneath it, and then I also put a little rhinestone bling there that I had for my stash. On the front of B, I really liked the image and I left it open. There's a big piece here that you could put a picture underneath, and you could tuck it underneath this tag. So I cut that out, put another little piece of seam binding, and then another bit of lace there. So I thought that was really pretty. When you open that up, we have another photo opportunity. So these are 4x6, so you would have to cut your photos down just a little bit. But I used another one of the 2x2 cut aparts. I punched out a heart just because I felt like that dog needed a heart, and I put another little doggy that I cut out down at the bottom, and then these all can, you know, have a photo tucked underneath them. On this one I left it plain because I just like the image so much, so I did add a bit of lace up here, but there's plenty of room again for pictures. I can imagine like 3 smaller pictures across the top here. I think that would be fun. And then down here, when you open this up, here's another photo mat, and then I fussy cut the spoons out of another piece of paper and then just put it over the top of that. And I just thought it was just a perfect fit. Now, here's my box. So we saw how I put the pattern papers on in the video. And then here is my little lifter. So we've got plenty of room. This thing will hold a ton of pictures and things. So I could add more photo mats in here or whatever I wanted. But the lifter lifts everything up so you can grab it nice and easy underneath there. So you already saw that. And then in here, I had another couple tags that were left, so I just folded them into a booklet, and then you could do some journaling there. I had a 4x4 cut apart left over, so I put that in there. And then I went through my stash and I had like a bunch of recipe cards. So what I did for the recipe cards was I fussy cut a whole bunch of things out of my scraps and then added them to the recipe cards. So these are images from the papers, and they're just scraps that I had, and decorated the cards so that they matched the collection here, and I thought that that turned out really well. So I'm going to just go through these here real quick. Got our official cookie taster here. So that's what I put in here. So this would be an awesome gift for someone. You could throw some recipes in here, and then you could, you know, have like for Christmas cookies, for example. And then if you have, like I have some friends who have a cookie baking day and they invite all their family and friends over, you could put a few pictures in there and have your recipes in there. I just think this is a really cute way to do this. So that is my project. This is a photo box project with the picture lifter, and there you have it. So this is using Santa's Little Helper, and this collection is really super cute. It's available at Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com. The flowers that I got there are available. I used the burgundy cardstock with the the pearl sheen gold cardstock for accents. I used the seam binding. Let's see, the flowers, art glitter glue, score tape. Everything was from Country Craft Creations, pretty much except for my spoon and my bling. That was it. So there's my project. So I hope you guys liked the tutorial and enjoyed the walkthrough. Go to Country Craft Creations, get your papers, and I will see you next time with another tutorial. Have a wonderful day. See you later. Bye-bye.